Radhe Radhe everyone, welcome to our daily wisdom from Bhagavad Gita session. Nitinji, Radhe Radhe, over to you to start the session.
Radhe Radhe, thank you Amritamani-ji, and thank you Gayatri-ji, Pardini-ji for a wonderful session like always. So welcome everyone to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. We'll continue on our journey of the concept of surrender that we have been discussing, and today we will go a little more deeper into that concept to understand how this concept of grace, surrender, faith, how do they stack up against each other? What is their relationship? And try to acquire a deeper understanding of all of these concepts. So a very warm welcome once again. Let me pull up my screen and we will get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru like we always do. All right. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, Nitinji, we can see.
Great. Let me put it in a screen share mode. Right. And what happened to the opening prayers? Let me do that. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening to all of you. So let's get started. In continuation with our discussion on grace, today I picked up another shloka which talks about these two concepts together, surrender and grace. So this is a shloka I picked up. I'm going to recite it and we'll pick up a few hands. Request you to turn on your camera, especially if you want to recite it. So let's get started. We'll pick up a few hands and see how many we can cover. But we'll try to put a time limit for it today. Tameva sharanam gaccha sarvabhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashwatam. Okay, who do we have today?
Ashutoshi, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Let's give preference to who is on the camera.
Ashutoshi? Okay. Sandhya-ji, please go ahead.
Have you unmuted yourself?
Let's quickly move.
Yeah. Okay, Radhe Radhe. Tamev sharanam gaccha sarvabhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashwatam.
Very nice, Sandhya. Radhe Radhe. All right, let's give preference to whoever is turned on their camera.
Sure. Dineshi, go ahead, please. Radhe Radhe.
Tamev saranam gaccha sarvabhavena bharata tat prasadat param santim sthanam prapasyasi saswatam. Radhe Radhe.
I would request everybody to keep trying it at your place, even though you might not be reciting, because the recitation itself is very auspicious. So let's do that recitation all together. Okay, let's pick up.
Rahulji, go ahead, please. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Tamev sharanam gaccha sarvabhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashwatam.
Wonderful, very nice, Rahul.
Shyamji, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Tamev sharanam gaccha sarvabhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapsasi shashvatam. Radhe Radhe.
Wonderful, Shyamji.
Ragi ji, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे त्वमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परां शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतम्.
Very nice. Thank you, Ragiji. Okay, maybe we can pick up 2 or 3 more hands.
Sam ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Shyamji.
Tameva sharanam gacchu sarvabhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapasyasi shashvatam. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Sumesh ji, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe
Radhe
Radhe.
Radhe, Radhe Radhe everyone. Tameva saranam gaccha sarvabhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. Radhe
Wonderful, very
Radhe.
nice. Radhe Radhe. Okay, last 3 hands maybe.
Riya ji, please go ahead.
राधे राधे
Radhe Radhe.
तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परां शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतम्.
Very nice, Riya ji.
राधे
Radhe
राधे
Radhe. Okay, last 2 hands. maybe.
Aparna ji, please go ahead.
राधे राधे
Radhe Radhe.
तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परां शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्यसि शाश्वतम्.
Prapsyasi Shashvatam. Very nice, Aparna ji. Yeah, Shruti, go ahead. You had raised your hand. You want to or?
Yes, go ahead, Shruti ji. Radhe Radhe.
Okay, yeah, Radhe Radhe. तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परां शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतम्.
Wonderful,
Radhe
Shruti.
Radhe.
Very nice. Ashutosh ji. But I see Sam ji. Is there a vision defect here? Okay, go ahead, Sam ji. The name of Ashutosh ji and then last Kramsi and then we get started.
I'm not able to unmute them.
Okay, Kramsi ji or we get
It's Chandru ji, if I'm right. Yeah. I think that's Chandru ji. Chandru ji,
Yeah, thank you.
go ahead, please.
Tamev sharanam gaccha sarvabhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam.
All right, so let's get started. In this one, Lord is saying that surrender exclusively unto him. It is 18.62, by the way. So although we are doing chapter 2, we are going back and forth. We are picking up some shlokas from the later chapters to drive home the concept of surrender and grace. And we are doing the recap. And technically, we are on chapter 4, okay? Just so that we don't lose sight of the big picture, what we are doing here. So it says, surrender exclusively unto him with your whole being, O Bharat. By his grace, you will attain perfect peace and the eternal abode. So let's get started. So here you see an act of knitting a sweater. So today we are going to see what can we learn from a sweater knitting act. And we will look at these concepts, grace, faith, surrender. Keep hearing these concepts. How are they related? We'll talk about that as well. So let's get started. So the grace, the principle or condition to attract God's grace, scriptures say that whoever fulfills this condition attains his grace and becomes eternally blissful. And the condition, and whoever does that actually is called a saint or a Mahatma. Mahatma means Mahanatma or a saint. They become God realized and they are entitled to God's grace. Now, what is the condition to attract God's grace? We spoke about this concept, so let's announce it once more. The condition is surrender. That is what we are going to have a good discussion on in the next few sessions and see how far we can go today. And how do we surrender? Ironically, by doing nothing. So basically, surrender is a state of doing nothing. But for us to get to the state of doing nothing, we have to do a lot of things. Okay, so this is how it goes. We have to finally reach a stage of doing nothing. But for us to reach a stage of doing nothing, we have to do a lot of things. And those are the principles of surrender. And it sounds a little counterintuitive, but this is how it's meant to be. If somebody tells you you have to do nothing, how peaceful it will be, right? You have delegated everything to somebody else. Won't it be so nice? All your work, all your tensions, all your anxieties are gone. You have to do nothing. So doing nothing is the state of getting to the state of surrender. But in order to get to that state, we have to do quite a few things in our head, not physically, but in our head. And that is what surrender is. And that is what we are going to discuss in great detail. Now, doing nothing, let's try to understand this concept through an analogy so that it makes sense. Analogies always help drive home the point, and that is what Swamiji is brilliant at. Small stories, analogies, the way he gives, the concept just sticks like Fevikwik. Okay, it just sticks. Let's move. So in this picture, if you look at it, there's a mother and there's a baby. And just cry your way to glory. Cry your way to getting everything done. That is all baby does. Does baby have the means or the intellectual prowess or the ways to get its stuff done? No, it's vulnerable. It's completely ashrit on its mother. So baby is doing nothing other than crying. Even the quality, type, frequency, intensity, volume of the cries is also different. Mother knows if this is a cry, it is just a tantrum. This is a cry, really something has happened. This is a cry means the baby is hungry. So just by crying, baby gets its stuff done. And this is a state of doing nothing. So if we were to actually map it to ourselves, this is who we are, the baby. This is the state we need to get into, wherein the position of the mother will be assumed by God himself. So it's a state of getting back to the state of becoming a baby where mother can take care of us. Okay, that is the state of surrender, completely ashrit. Baby doesn't say, I will do it. Baby starts doing that. When it starts growing up, he said, Mom, I know better. So when it says, okay, I demand my own space, the mother also starts taking a back seat. And as the baby keeps growing further and further, it says, the mother starts taking more and more of a back seat. And same thing has happened with our relationship with God as well, where we are saying we know it and our ego comes, our pride comes in the way, and God has taken a back seat to an extent where we have completely forgotten our relationship with our eternal parent. So this is the state of doing nothing. Okay, just an analogy. Now let's move on. Take some scriptural reference as well. Ramayana says that it is only through complete surrender one can attain grace of God. The scriptures are saying the same thing. And because of that, they can be liberated from the bondage of Maya. And we said it is important for us because the very reason we are on the path of spirituality is because we take our self-interest seriously. And the reason we take our self-interest seriously is because we do understand that there are, panchaklesh, tridosh, tritap, and a lot of things that we have to deal with. And we are seeking happiness, but real happiness, not synthetic or GMO happiness. Okay, organic happiness is what we are looking for. The real deal, not the artificial one, which will not last, which is temporary and finite in extent. So Ramayana is actually corroborating the same. It says that you have to surrender, and grace is dependent upon surrender, the same concept that we are discussing. And furthermore, it goes on to say all those souls who surrender to him attain their supreme ultimate goal of divine bliss. And those who chose not to, they are enjoying the 8.4 million tourism. Okay, that's what Ramayana is saying, which is governed by time, destiny, their own sanskar, nature, modes of Maya, and their gunas. That is anyway there. Nothing is happening there. So world is anyway waiting for as long as we are not graced. And world is anyway our de facto destination in various species, unless as a human we have exercised our free will to become Sharanagat or surrendered. And that is the principle of Sharanagati or complete surrender. We have still not started on the principles as yet. We are just scratching the surface of the concept of surrender itself. We'll get there. Let's move further. Now, surrender is. Now, let's look at this knitting exercise once again. Okay, I'll come back to that. Surrender is willingness. This is a definition, one of the important definitions of surrender, is willingness to have faith. That's all surrender is. Now, there are principles of surrender. I'm just giving you another definition. Faith on what? So if you look at this exercise, your grandmother, mother is knitting a sweater. And if a kid comes and looks at it from one side, it will say, what kind of an exercise is it? What are you trying to do? It will just not make sense. Unless you look at it from the front or you look at the body of work when it has reached a certain stage or completion where you see a beautiful pattern has emerged. So similarly, God is also doing his knitting. And it may not make sense to us when we look at it in isolation or selectively or in vacuum. But as the grand plan unfolds, it will make perfect sense. That is how the world is designed. This world is a veritable form of God himself. So it is perfect in itself. We may say Ghor Kali Yuga has come. In fact, in every generation, this discussion starts in 1960s, 70s, 1800s, 1700s, 1600s. The Ghor Kali Yuga has not yet come. Okay, Kali Yuga has barely started to. It's not even a toddler as yet. It's going to live for 4,32,000 years. Nothing is going to happen. So at a macro level, everything is within God's control. And it is perfectly unfolding as per the grand plan at a macro level. Okay. And that is where the ability to have faith in the grand plan or the willingness to have that faith is a part of surrender as well, where we don't start complaining at every second thing that we see, experience, or have to bear. That is a key concept here, because at a macro level, everything is falling in place. Let's look at another example to drive home this point. Now, there's a famous Taoist expression. You see these snowflakes? Have you seen these snowflakes falling one over another and forming a mountain, and rest of the place is all vacant? Doesn't happen that way. Every snowflake is falling just at the right place. And similarly, everybody is perfectly situated where they need to be. We cannot say if I was that, or why did this happen to me, or why did God put me in this condition, or only if we had that, things could have been different, or I would have broken all the records of bhakti. No, we are the authors of our destiny, and God, as part of the perfect justice dispensing system, orchestration, is making sure everything is just perfectly situated where it needs to be. And if we are stuck in certain situations in life, that means we have to learn our lessons. That means we have to exhaust certain vasanas and learn along the way before we can graduate to the next level. So if we are stuck with some kind of relatives, troublesome situations and all, there are inherent lessons around it. It's not a raw deal that God has given us. He has given us a perfect deal based on our capacity and based on what he thinks is learning, could be a learning experience for us. The key is to have a right attitude around that and learn the lesson from that situation. And as soon as the lesson is learned, the situation itself will vanish, evaporate around you. And if you don't learn the lesson, the same situation will keep repeating. Same kind of people you will keep coming across. Same kind of victim mindset you will keep on having, that why is it happening to me? If something is repeating, that means that is a lesson for us. That is a very simple principle of this universe. So the same thing in the last slide, like we spoke about, that like this knitting exercise that is happening, if you look at it in vacuum or in isolation, it will not make sense. But when the pattern starts emerging, that's when you are able to appreciate that some grand plan was unfolding. And this is how it's meant to be. We looked at this Taoist saying as well, that snowflakes, they fall slowly to the ground, each flake in its proper place. That is how this whole world is designed, its universe is designed. And this particular expression, it basically illustrates the perfection in the design of the world. So the macro events taking place, even though we may not be able to perceive it from our material perspective, they are happening for a reason and they are perfect in themselves. It's part of that knitting exercise. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay, that is how it is meant. So next time your mind starts complaining about the world, you know what, this world is a messy place to be in. Not quite. It is perfectly serving the purpose for which it is designed. Maya, for that matter, is an energy of God. And anything that is an energy, the inherent relationship of energy with energetic is that of serving it. So your energies serve you. Similarly, God's energies serve God. So if Maya is the energy of God, in other words, Maya is a servant of God. And service of Maya to God is to push conditioned souls like us towards its master. That means it is never going to make our life comfortable here. So when you go to jail, if the jail inmates are in pain, misery, or feeling a need to get out of jail, that means jail is serving its purpose. If you start getting all the comforts, which is what we try to seek out in this world, that means you are going to prolong your stay in the jail, and Maya is not going to let it happen. It will always make sure you get enough reasons to believe and feel that this is not the right place. So if let's say there is a fire. So when our hand goes into fire, two things happen. One which is good and one which is bad. What is the bad thing? Bad thing is obvious. Our hand burns. Burning is not good. But the good thing is you feel pain. And when you feel pain, it tells your nerve cells, neurons, signal to the brain, take your hand away. And it is only because of that signal you take the corrective or remedial action. So pain is not bad in that case. Burning is bad. Why? Because pain is telling you this is not the right place where you need to take your hand away. Similarly, when we have afflictions in Maya, it is actually not such a bad thing. It is actually telling you this is not the right place for me. If you really think deeply, Buddha thought it so deeply that he understood the big picture and he found his way to enlightenment to completely get out of it. We are okay. We enjoy the little bit of honey that comes, The match will come, IPL match will come, we'll enjoy that. The marriage will come, we'll enjoy that. The potluck will come, we'll enjoy that, right? So we are so habituated to enjoying those small things that we forget the bigger picture, that every moment the danger is lurking on us in this material world. But the point is, this material world, being an energy of God, is perfect in itself. We cannot find fault with the world. All we have to do is to channelize it for our growth, because world will keep reminding you that this is not the right place. And there is a lurking danger at every step. Right? That Kathopanishad story where a guy is going through a forest and animals start chasing it, and then it turns on the other side, a witch starts chasing it, Then it turns on the other side and it finds itself hanging upside down from a tree branch where a snake is waiting for it, and the rope through which it is hanging is being nibbled by a black and white rat. And in the meantime, the bee starts stinging its face, and this guy is happy. Why? Because little droplets of honey are falling on his face and he's enjoying that. So that is the story of our life. We are going through this life, which is a very dangerous place, like a forest. At every moment, there's a lurking danger. COVID comes, somebody can run over us in a car, right? If God forbid you meet Salman Khan in the middle of a night, God only can save you, right? And then the diseases are waiting for us. They are just waiting to catch hold of us. And then the old age is saying, come, embrace me. There's a Hindi saying, they say, right? Jo aake na jaye wo budhapa, jo jaake na aaye wo jawani, right? So every day we are being pushed towards old age. And then the snake is waiting, that is our end. And then those rats, day and night, is pushing us towards that snake. And then our desires are stinging us on our face. And in the middle of that, we are enjoying that honey. So that is the actual state of this world. But the world or the Maya energy is doing its job. It's doing its duty to perfection by pushing us towards its master. Okay, so that is the key concept. Let's move on. Now, what do we need to surrender? That is the big question. What can we surrender truly? What do we have to surrender? Right? It's not as if we are billionaires or we have a lot of things at our disposal. Kuber is our buddy, or nothing of that sort. So what can we truly surrender? We possess body, mind, intellect, and this is all we possess, right? Nothing else. So our scriptures say, Manev Manushyanam Karanam Bandha Moksha Panchadashi. Mind alone is the cause of bondage and liberation. And from a surrender standpoint, if you look at it, this is the factual bondage and liberation. So this is the thing that needs to be surrendered to God. Everything else will automatically be surrendered. Nothing else needs to be surrendered. Okay, body cannot be surrendered. It's anyway gross. If you surrender your mind and intellect, that's all God is asking for. So this is the thing. Like Mohan Tere Charno ki, yesterday we were singing that bhajan. No, there's an Ateri Meherbani ka. In that the bhajan line comes, Siva dil ke tukudon ke तुझे चढ़ाने के काबिल नहीं. So the mind or the peace of our heart is all that we can give to God. So our free will or our mind is the only thing we can offer to God, nothing else. We don't have the ability to give anything to God. So God pretty much possesses everything, right? He's the Jagat Pati. Pati of our Pati is the Pati. Basically, he's the supreme Pati. So he possesses everything. Pati means possessor of something. Dhanpati means one who possesses wealth. Right? Vidyapati means one who possesses Vidya. So similarly, Jagatpati means he possesses everything. But there is one thing God doesn't possess, that is our free will. So when we talk about surrendering something, that something is our mind. And we are very smart. Actually, we surrender, we give our time. We can give our time in seva. We can give our body. We can give wealth also. But mind we keep for ourselves. Why? Because we need that mind to attach to things that truly matter to us. Mind is reserved for loving our, relative, kid, wife, husband, cricket, soccer, all those things. So we don't give our mind. And God is saying, I only need your mind. Because he knows that if you give mind, rest will automatically follow. We are where our mind is. So once you give your mind to somebody, right? If you fall in love with Krishna or somebody, that person takes away your mind. Or if you have bitterness towards somebody, that person takes away your mind. So when you have strong resentment or strong love for somebody, you've already given them your mind. All the time you're thinking about them, either with positive sentiment or with negative sentiment. So God says, just give me your mind. I don't need anything else. So the key thing is mind. Let's look at this concept another way. So this is a story I'll tell you of people who were in inebriated state, which is intoxicated state, which means they were high on drinks. So they had a tequila party the previous day, and then they boarded the ship. And when they boarded the ship, they were supposed to go from I don't know, maybe New York to Mexico or somewhere, assuming it is supposed to be a river, and they started rowing the boat throughout the night. They kept on rowing it, they kept on rowing it, they kept on rowing it. And they were very excited when they were rowing it. But it was dark, and when the sun came out, when it dawned, and they were sober also by then, they realized that they were exactly where they started off with in the night. And you know why it happened? It happened because they had not dropped the anchor. The boat was chained. Now you would say, what kind of foolish people these were? They kept on rowing and they were still the same way. Factually, it is a story of our life only. So we spoke about the concepts yesterday. What is the price tag of grace? Doing mantrocharan, jap, tap, puja, all the activities, these mechanical gymnastics that we do for God, they are actually exactly same to rowing this boat. Why? Because unless you have dropped the anchor of your mind and attached it to God, you are actually thinking you are doing a lot of work, mechanical exercise, but actually it is multiplying with zero. You are not actually moving along. So the story basically tells us that mind is actually the key thing in this whole game of spirituality. So similar to that, if your mind is somewhere and you are actually saying God's name, whatever activity you are doing related to God, you might be doing your puja, you might be doing your sandhya vandan, chanting, recitation, jap, tap, whatever. But if your mind is somewhere else, it is just like this boat where the anchor is hooked. And that hook is, where can the hook be? There are only two areas, God or world. There's no third area. Okay. Very simple concept to be understood. So innumerable lifetimes have passed and our anchor, like in this case, the anchor of the boat, you see, that anchor could be wealth, children, spouse, and attainment of the world, something related to the world. And the external result, whatever, wherever our mind is, we are where our mind is. And that is what we end up achieving. And some people think that if we start progressing spiritually, we will start getting world. God will be very impressed. And God will give us more of the world, make us happy. That's not the case. Sorry to disappoint you. That's not how it's meant to be. God will give you things which are not pleasurable for you. God will give you things which are beneficial for you. This is how it goes. So our goal still remains world, care of God. And God says no, that, like Swamiji says, Khapad Shapad will not do. He understands our motives. He understands our deepest desires. And he makes sure the course correction happens, especially if you are serious about your spirituality. Regardless, he will make us deal with the prarabdha anyways, right? We are anyway operating in the perfect justice dispensing system. But if we have to draw his grace, mercy, we have to understand the concept of surrender and start aligning to those principles, especially if we want his special grace. Okay, so we spoke about this boat example also. Now, let's look at some of the another examples, analogies around it before we get into a bit of a discussion and some questions as well. So with mind, you may say, no, I can keep my mind somewhere. And at the same time, I can think of God. Somebody may say, example, God is in my heart, no matter what I do. So let's look at it through some analogies. Is it possible to run with tied feet? I mean, you can say yes if you agree to any of it. Okay, I'm going to pose some questions and you can raise your hand and say, yes, it is possible. Okay, I see one cross. Good. That makes me feel a little sane about the question that I've posed. It's not possible. Next one, is it possible to speak with closed mouth? Thank you. Okay, Jyoti ji, yes, please go ahead, Jyoti.
Yeah, based on sign language is a possibility.
Speak. Let's speak.
Oh,
not communicate. I've been very categorical saying speak.
Yeah, you're right. My mistake.
Okay, all right, good. I thought you did a checkmate to me, but okay, I'm saved. Third one, is it possible to laugh loudly and puff up one's cheeks at the same time? Okay, by the way, nobody can say yes because these are not the examples I have created. They are coming directly from Rik Premras Siddhant. Okay, so you can imagine. Now, another one. So similarly, it is impossible for the mind to attach to God and material world simultaneously. It's just not possible. Okay, it is impossible to practice devotion to God with the mind attached elsewhere. You cannot give that excuse to anybody that, you know what, I'm doing devotion to God while your mind is attached to 10 other things. Not possible. So the concept here is that at any point in time, you just have one mind. See, God has given us 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 ears, 2 eyes, one mind. He had given us 2 minds. We would have been very smart. We said, all right, God, one mind is reserved for you. One is for Chunnu Munnu and everybody else, what we want to do in life. And God says, no, this will not do. I will give you one mind. And then you have to do exclusive devotion. And God is not only perfectionist, but he's very possessive also. Just think of it. Even in this world, we have possessive people, you have to think about me, you have to love me, you have to do this for me. So God says, I am also a perfectionist and very possessive. Only me and nobody else. Exclusivity. And that is why he's given us one mind. So he's saying not only put me at the top of your stack, whatever things you have in your mind, but clear up rest as well. That's what he's saying. Okay, that's all he's saying basically. All right, I'll open it up if you have any questions or discussions, because now we are going to discuss the concept of surrender. What does surrender mean? What are the principles of surrender? But before I get into that, let's go into any questions or thoughts that anybody has before we go further. So one mind, exclusivity. See, it says that when you talk about the God says it's like this in world, right? What happens when you start loving somebody more, other people complain about it, right? They say, you are being partial to that person, you have a soft corner for this person, so other people start complaining sometimes a little bit, right? Why me? Why not me as well? So same thing God is saying as well. He says that when you come to me, people have objection to it. People will say, why you're getting so deep into all these things, right? You will become sannyasi, baba, or you will not discharge your duty towards us and everybody else, or all the kind of rinas they will tell you, this rin, that rin. Okay. So God says same thing I'll do too. Now, when you start attaching your mind to me, to my family, you think about any of my family, and I have absolutely no objection, but no world at that point. And what is this family? He has given you extended forms to think about. Naam, Roop, Gun, Leela, Dham, and Parikar, and saints. He said, you pick up any of this based on your choice, but don't bring world now in that case. So that is the tuning of our mind. And now we will get into the concepts of surrender. I'll quickly introduce those today, and then we will get into the deeper discussion around each principle of surrender. Before that, any questions or discussion we want to have, we can have it now.
Shyamji, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Yes, Shyam.
Thank you, Radhe Radhe. Bhai, when you say mind and God, that means when we are doing some devotions or chanting, तभी मन ध्यान में लगाना है प्रभु के कि every time whatever we are doing, you just think that way कि जो भी मैं कर रहा हूँ, it's only for God and God. Is that so?
Yeah, the practice is essentially what God expects us is Tesham Satat Yuktanam. Satat Yuktana means Nirantarta. Nirantarta means continuity. Continuity means without any break. Without any break means just like all oil drips, it doesn't come tick, tick, right? It is a continuous stream. But to reach to that stage, obviously, we'll have to take baby steps and start aligning to that principle until we reach that consciousness where we don't have to do it. It's just there. Like, for example, Shyamji never forgets he's Shyamji, no matter where you are, right? Or when you are working. That consciousness is so deeply ingrained in you. Or for that matter, when a mother is teaching in the school, not for a second she forgets that she's a mother, because that is synonymous with her own identity. That impression is so deeply ingrained. So we have to reach that stage. Karma Yoga is a stepping stone for that.
So
Where you
whatever
every
I'm
act,
doing,
you think of God at the back of your mind till you reach a consciousness where you don't even have to put an effort. It's just there. It's part of your identity that He's with me, He's protecting me, and I'm doing it for His pleasure only. That is an aspirational state. Yeah.
whatever I'm doing, जो कुछ जहाँ भी जैसा भी हूँ मैं, God is with me. That's the
Yes.
I have to
Yes.
be in that state always.
Yes.
It will
Yes.
become by default, I guess. I have no free will in that. I
No,
can't
you have
force,
free will. Who said you don't have free
I
will?
can't force it. It will be there by default once I am reach a state. Is that so?
True. Yeah.
And one more thing I want to share, Nitin bhai. Last night I had a dream early morning कि मैं सपने में भी क्लास कर रहा हूँ और हम लोग भजन गा रहे हैं. I do not know, very strange thing happened this morning. Just wanted to share with you.
Very nice. अब आपको daily wisdom is coming in your dreams also, which is a good sign.
And one more thing I want to share, if I can share. See, as you said, surrender, na, I told you my story so many times also that I was going through a mess initially. But for the past 5 years, I just left to God. I had no idea that this is called surrender. But it was by chance, or I would say by fluke, that I just thought कि यार मैं तो कर नहीं पा रहा हूँ, so let me leave it to God, and whatever happens, let it happen. And over the period of time for last 2-3 years, as now you're talking about the topic of surrender, I think I can correlate things now. The moment you surrender yourself now to the supreme power and you just leave it to Him, things happen by default, and He knows what's best for you. And if I trust you, my life, as I told you earlier also, for last 5 years is going so smooth. I have no role in it. I have no hand in it. I'm just going with the flow, and God is there guiding me so perfectly, so diligently that things are falling in place on its own. मैं उसमें कुछ करना चाहता हूँ ना, तो ये मैं कर नहीं पा रहा हूँ. So what I do is just leave it to Him, and I did not know this is called surrender. Now I am getting more clearer to it that what surrender means to a normal man, to a common person, and I think this is the most perfect state to be in, Nitin bhai. I think so.
Beautiful. Thank you for
so
sharing
much.
that experience. And one has to do it, to believe it, to realize it, and it happens. And I'm glad this concept came to you intuitively, and you are able to understand the power of this concept, how powerful and liberating it is. And knock on the wood, keep practicing it, keep deepening it. That's the best you can do. Anybody can do for that matter. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. All right.
Okay. Yeah, we have Sunita ji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Sunita ji. Welcome. I think we're talking for the first time. So welcome to the session.
Yes, sir. Yes. For the first time, I'm joining your session.
Where are you joining from, Sunita ji?
I'm from Assam.
Assam, right?
Ji.
Nice. My dad did his MBSc in Assam, by the way. So anyways, go ahead, please.
Okay. My question is that it is said that you have to remember God 24/7. Satat Kirtanam or Satat Smaranam. Then means if you are driving, suppose, then how can we remember God and at the same time we are driving? I have to concentrate on that work, what I am doing, right? Or I have to remember God at the same time.
That's a very common question. I can give you some examples based on which you may be able to understand, because people say, okay, if I have to think about God, how will I do my job, right? How will I work? How will I do the precision surgery if I have patient, life and death is in my hands, not my hands, but it's a matter of life and death for the patient. How will I focus on the surgery and think about God at the same time? And that is why I keep on saying Bhagavad Gita was chosen to be imparted in a battlefield. The kind of sophistication, the kind of skill, the kind of intensity that was required by Arjun, if he could carry it out in such testing circumstances, any one of us can do that. I'll give you a couple of examples. Right? When you're driving, glad you brought up that example. When you start driving, you have to think, I'm steering, I have to do this, then I have to press my clutch, and then only I can change the gear. And somebody came, I have to honk and don't disturb me. All that stuff will happen. But there would come a stage where it's all happening and you are talking and Yapping and listening to music also, how's it happening? It has gotten into your system now. Right? You are doing that act. At the same time, you're talking to your friends, you're listening to music, and all by itself, you're honking and everything itself. In cricket also, Swamiji gives an example. Batsman, when he takes the crease and the ball is hurled at 90 miles an hour, they get about less than 3 seconds to respond to that ball. And what do they do before that ball? He just looks around. Okay, this is the field placement, and within those seconds, that is there at the back of the mind, and still he plays a shot and bisects the field. So it is possible to do the act that you're doing and at the same time have a image or a feeling at the back of your mind that God is there. It just needs practice. It is possible.
Okay.
It is doable.
That means if we practice, then spontaneously it will become our habit that we remember God at the same time, and at the same time we are doing.
Yes, it becomes part of your identity itself. Right? And then you don't have to practice. In fact, you practice this for a few days and you'll see it has started, imbibing it. And it happens in our life also. Somebody whom you are very much attached to, not for a moment you forget your relationship with them. So same thing we have to replicate in God, with God as well. Hopefully that works.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And welcome. Good to have you on the session. Thank you for turning on your camera.
Sure. Sure. Radhe, Radhe.
You get the best debut question award. Okay. All right. Let's take a few more hands.
Thank you, Sunita ji. Yes, Sandhya, go ahead, ma.
Yes, Sandhya.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. So I just wanted to mention one thing. So when one becomes pure, we believe in each and every statement, like what we are learning here and so from Swamiji. And I think that will automatically make us surrender, because see, even if we think about the name of God, we will feel it. If we think about surrender, if we think about Nishkamta, Ananyata, anything, the purity will automatically lead to that expression. That was something I was just thinking about. And there is also a question from Aparna ji. How can we define the fine line between inaction and surrender?
Inaction and surrender, no. So inaction is not same as surrender. Surrender is a state of mind. Once we talk about the principles of surrender, let's have a deeper discussion around it. Is any of the principle that we talk about related to surrender is going to result in inaction? And let's get into some examples where you can say, hey, by the way, this principle can lead somebody to inaction. And then let's counter or have a good discussion on that when we get into that. So tomorrow's session, we will introduce the first two concepts of surrender, which is Pratikulasya Varjitam, and I think the Anukulasya, basically try to align your will to the will of God and do not go against, basically, or do not do things which go against the will of God, right? And then somebody say, how do you know what is will of God? That is something we can talk about. But we will talk about these concepts and then see what makes you think that this will lead us to inaction, and hopefully we are able to resolve that quandary for you. Okay, let's take the next one.
Prem Raj ji, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Nitin ji.
Good.
Hello.
Yeah. Good
Hello.
morning.
Radhe Radhe.
Able to hear me, sir?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I have a doubt.
Yes.
Yeah. According to Karma Yoga principle, you need to attach your mind to the God while doing your job. But now in this screenshot, which you're showing now in this screen, you say you need to have, your mind should be fully devoted to God. I think there is some contradiction or something like that, or I'm unable to understand it properly.
Okay. So what is the contradiction here? If your mind is attached to God,
that means your mind is split into two parts. One is towards the God and one is towards the worldly activities.
No, the why part of the worldly activity is related to God. That's essentially what it means. I'll give you an example. There was a guy who goes and asks asked to, wants to marry a girl, and he goes to the father and says, I need your girl's hand. Okay. So the father says, why just hand? Take the entire girl. No, he says that I will marry my girl to you only when you make 6-figure salary. So this guy comes back and starts working really hard. Okay, he starts working really hard so that he can get the required promotion and required increment and get to the mark of getting that 6-figure salary so that he can marry that girl. Now, when he's working hard, what is the motive? Is it to, do his work? Is he attached to his work or is he attached to the girl?
His mind will be attached to the girl.
Yeah. So the motive is to please basically get the girl. Similarly, the Karma Yoga principle is your mind is attached to the girl, God. Whatever you are doing to the best of your ability for the pleasure of God, not so that you can earn more, so that you can enjoy more, so that you can get the next best car, so that you can take, enjoy the next best meal in the restaurant. The motive is changed. It is just a means to an end. End is God, pleasing God, doing it to the best of your ability so that it pleases God because you are bringing your skills to the fore for his pleasure. You are serving God through that act. You can earn more so that you can give more. Everything is directed towards God. That is what Karma Yoga is.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Hopefully that answers. So that means your mind is attached to God.
Okay.
Nothing is attached to gratifying your own body or senses at that point. That is what Karma Yoga is.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Premji. Subodhji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Subodhji.
Radhe Radhe.
Go
Sir,
ahead.
I have sir, I have one question related to surrender. Okay.
Yeah.
My mind goes back to 1992 in India when Car Seva was held in Uttar Pradesh for the Ram temple creation. Okay, the government there was hostile towards Car Sevaks, but still many devotees went there. They faced bullets and that was the ultimate form of surrender. They surrendered their life. Now coming to spirituality, there are many saints who took samadhi when they were alive or like that. But the people in 1992 goes into oblivion, and the ones who write books and do theoretical things, they are more remembered. So in the eyes of God, are the both surrenders same? That is my question.
So what you said is when the lathi charge happened or the bullets were
They
fired,
faced the bullet. Yeah.
Those people were surrendered,
Yeah.
you said?
And they were knowing that. Yeah. So they surrendered their life for God. And like some people, some sadhus also take samadhi, and some people have another ways of surrendering. But in the eyes of God, are these surrender equal, or is there some difference? And secondly, to those people who went by that path, who took the bullets in the name of Lord Ram, they go into oblivion. That means the public memory is not much there. That is the second part.
Okay, so
what,
first of all, public memory does not have to commensurate with the prize that God gives, right? If we are actually concerned about getting the spiritual prize, public memory or public accolades, they should not really matter. Right? So many saints, they have only faced hardship in this world. It's only after they are gone, people even start talking good things about them. So getting some kind of a certificate from public is not a yardstick for spiritual attainment, first of all. Secondly, we can't know what was the state of their mind which compelled them to take or bite the bullet, right, at that particular moment. Was it for the sake of God, or was it for the sake of something that they felt very strongly about? right? So we don't know that. And if they were completely Sharnagat, and in that process they laid their life, obviously they are entitled to meritorious deed or higher rewards that we will not come to know, only God would know. So for us, it is a moot point at that point, right? Now, people who take samadhi and all, that is a different question altogether, right? I mean, different spiritual paths, basically, depending upon your spiritual progress, the only thing I know about that is that you become Videh. Videh means the pain that your body experiences, you transcend that. And at the time of death, you can leave your body in a conscious state. When we die, it's a two-step process. First, we fall unconscious, and then we die, because the pain is so big, basically, both at the time of birth and death, that that pain is unbearable at the time of death. So we first fall unconscious and then we die. People who take samadhi and all, they can leave their life years consciously through whichever chakra they want, but they have to leave the body. It's not that they can extend their lives. Right. So now, based on their prarabdha, they may decide to do that. So that is a different question altogether. That is not a, have they perfected their surrender? May or may not. We cannot say that. Just because somebody is able to do that, leave their life years on their own volition, doesn't mean they have perfected their surrender. That is also an incorrect understanding or a partial understanding. We don't know that. And who is left this world in a perfect state of surrender, that is also something we will never come to know, right? So somebody may bite a bullet with a sentiment of rage or resentment for some other person, or somebody may leave their life years thinking about God at, okay, God, I'm actually leaving this, I'm just taking this bullet for your sake. So both the acts might look same on the external, but internally only God would know what was their state. But be rest assured, if they were able to bring God in their mind and they laid their life for the sake of God, rich rewards are waiting for them after life. Okay, there's no question about that as per our scriptural. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Radhe Radhe. No.
Joanji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Joanji.
Radhe, Radhe. Nitinji, I was just going to comment on your comment a couple participants ago. I agree. It becomes an automatic thing to think about God, because I find that happening to me. So it doesn't distract me from I find now, it doesn't distract me from my, I guess, worldly responsibilities. I'm doing my job or whatever it is that I have to do, but I find automatically I'm also thinking about God. And I find that now I'm not able to have a meal without first thanking the Lord. So it becomes, for me, an automatic thing. It may not happen 24/7, but it's happening a lot more frequently than it used to in the past. So I'm just saying it will come with practice. To answer the question and agreeing with you in response to the two previous participants ago.
Thank you for reiterating
Yes.
that. Thank you, Joanji. And thank you for reconfirming that because you have started practicing it, you can actually vouch for it that it can work.
Yeah,
If you practice it, it can actually work.
Yeah,
seems
my
a
mind
little difficult. Yeah, it can work.
it goes there automatically, as without me thinking or making an effort. It just goes. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sure, no problem. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Thank
All right,
you,
Jyoti
Joanji.
ji.
Go ahead, Jyoti ji. You've been unmuted.
Thank you, Amritwani ji. Radhe Radhe, everybody. Radhe Radhe, Nitin ji. Subodhji's question reminded me of the little squirrel in the Ramayana story, where they are building the Ram Setu Pul, the bridge, and everybody is carrying the huge boulders, and then in fact Hanumanji and all the Vanals and the bears, they get mad with the squirrel because it's running underfoot, and they say, "Get out of my way! We are doing important work for Bhagwanji." But the little squirrel is carrying little pebbles, and it's assisting in building the bridge. And Bhagwanji gives it just the same mercy that he gives to everybody else, and he pats it on its back. And that's why the chipmunks In America, the squirrels in India, they have the three-finger salute that Bhagwanji gave with the ashray that he gave to the squirrels. So to answer Subodhji, there is nothing too big, too little when it comes to seva of Bhagwanji. It is more our consciousness that needs to be corrected, and it's between me and the Guru and Bhagwanji as to my consciousness. I cannot be the judge of somebody else's consciousness.
Very true. Yeah, only God can judge. Beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that, Jyotiji. Always a pleasure to hear from you.
Thank you.
Great.
Wonderful. Awesome, Jyotiji. Very nice. So I'll just do a quick announcement, Nitinji.
Sure. Please go ahead.
Yes, for the announcements. And few, I think by we'll be Puri Shivar will be starting soon. So that is there in online also. Those who would like to, you can register that. The link has already been posted and the feedback tracker has been posted. So please do provide your attendance, feedback, questions, comments, etc., whatever. And for Gita Jayanti, we have Gita Jayanti celebrations that is from December 1st to 4th. The link has been provided, so please do register for that. And we have few speakers and keynote is from Swamiji. That's it, Nitinji. So
thank you. And yes, for Gita Jayanti, right, we had announced that you can send the Gita Jayanti wishes in a portrait format like this. And we have received a few videos. I believe I've seen it from Dinesh ji and Swati ji. Yeah. So please keep them coming. This weekend would be good if you can send it out. It'll give us ample time. All you have to do is pick up your native tongue and recite. You can say it in English, Hindi, Telugu, Bengali, Odia. As long as it is not Chinese or some language, it's perfectly okay. But if you're in China, feel free to do so. And then just say the wishing Gita Jayanti to everyone, happy Gita Jayanti to everyone, and that's all we need from you. And if you can send it, the more the better. And please do plan to send it out. It will not take much of your effort, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and that's about it. So we look forward to those videos as well. And it is going to be a very nice event, going to be a hybrid event. Do check it out. Puri retreat is anyway starting, so a lot of good things coming up. There's never a dull moment here, so do avail all the opportunities. Okay, any other questions or anything? So tomorrow we are going to get into the principles of surrender finally. There are 6 principles. That means half a dozen principles. And we'll try to cover at least a couple of those in every session so that we are able to understand those in entirety and as deep as we possibly can for practical implementation as well. All right, are we good for today then? We can move to our devotional segment if there are no more questions. Do we have any participants today who want to recite, chant? So by the way, last 15 minutes or so we spend in devotional chanting, so you're welcome to stay back. Or if you want to sing or chant something, you're welcome to do so as well. Swati ji is always game. So anybody else? Or it's just Swati ji today? All right, Swati ji, please go ahead then.
Go ahead, Swati ji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
I'll just sing little of Maharaj's bhajan. Usually I listen to that only, so I'll try to sing that only. Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Shri Radhe. हो भज मन राधे, निशे दिन राधे, हो छिन छिन राधे, घड़ी घड़ी राधे, पल पल राधे, हो गाइए राधे, हो सुमिरिए राधे, हो भज मन राधे, हो भज मन राधे, बरसाने वाली राधे, हो प्यारी प्यारी राधे, जय राधे राधे, जय राधे राधे राधे, जय राधे राधे राधे. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Radhe Radhe Swati ji. That was a nice bhajan mashup and bhajan parody you did. So very nice. Beautiful as always. All right. Quite a few hands. I mean, all right, let's do that then.
Okay, Shyamji, please go ahead.
Yes,
Thank you
Shyam,
so much.
please go ahead.
I will
To
sing
be,
a few.
let me be very honest, Shyamji, if you wouldn't have raised, I would have called out your name today, actually.
You
That's
were
why it's planned.
destined to sing today. It was written in your prarabdha. Let me put it that way.
Yes, true that. Yeah. I'll sing few lines. मैं तो नहीं हूँ काबिल तेरा पार कैसे पाऊं मैं तो नहीं हूँ काबिल तेरा पार कैसे पाऊं टूटी हुई वाणी से गुणगान कैसे गाऊं तेरी प्रेरणा से ही ये तेरी प्रेरणा से ही ये सब कमाल हो रहा है मेरा आपकी कृपा से सब काम हो रहा है करते हो तुम कन्हैया मेरा नाम हो रहा है मुझे हर कदम पे तूने दिया सहारा मेरी जिंदगी बदल दी तूने करके एक इशारा एहसान पे तेरा ये एहसान हो रहा है एहसान पे तेरा ये एहसान हो रहा है करते हो तुम कन्हैया मेरा नाम हो रहा है मेरा आपकी कृपा से सब काम हो रहा है तूफान आंधियों में तूने ही मुझको थामा तूफान आंधियों में तूने ही मुझको थामा तुम कृष्ण बन के आए मैं जब बना सुदामा तुम कृष्ण बन के आए मैं जब बना सुदामा तेरे कर्म से है अब ये सरेआम हो रहा है तेरे कर्म से ही अब ये सरेआम हो रहा है मेरा आपकी कृपा से सब काम हो रहा है करते हो तुम कन्हैया मेरा नाम हो रहा है करते हो तुम कन्हैया मेरा नाम हो रहा है राधे राधे
Radhe Radhe. Very nice, Shyamji. You made Kanhaiya do this much of work today for yourself.
he has to do it why there's no option for him he knows that and I know how to
There's
he
no
can't
option.
escape me that's for true
Beautiful. Very nice. That should be the jazba and the sentiment. Loved it.
yes
Thank
Very
you.
nice, very nice. Awesome.
You made the most of your prarabdha today.
thank you so much
Thank you very much, Shyamji. Very nice. Loved it. Okay, we have quite a few hands. Who's next? I think
Yes.
Sunita ji is going to make debut today as well.
Yes. Sunita ji. Radhe
Hare
Radhe.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
May I sing any bhajan? I mean, I have to sing related to Radha Krishna or something like that, or I can sing any other gods,
Sure, sure. Go
demigods
ahead.
bhajan.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Okay. कौन कहता है भगवान आते नहीं तुम मीरा के जैसे बुलाते नहीं कौन कहता है भगवान आते नहीं तुम मीरा के जैसे बुलाते नहीं अच्युतम केशवम कृष्ण दामोदरम राम नारायणं जानकी वल्लभम्। कौन कहता है भगवान नाचते नहीं, तुम गोपियों जैसे नचाते नहीं। अच्युतम केशवम कृष्ण दामोदरम, राम नारायणं जानकी वल्लभम्। कौन कहता है भगवान सोते नहीं, माँ यशोदा के जैसे सुलाते नहीं। अच्युतम केशवम कृष्ण दामोदरम, राम नारायणं जानकी वल्लभम्। कौन कहता है भगवान खाते नहीं, बैर सबरी के जैसे खिलाते नहीं। अच्युतम केशवम कृष्ण दामोदरम, राम नारायणं जानकी वल्लभम्। कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गाते चलो, नाम लेते चलो काम करते चलो। याद आएगी उनको कभी ना कभी, कृष्ण दर्शन तो देंगे कभी ना कभी। कृष्ण दर्शन तो देंगे कभी ना कभी। थैंक यू।
Sunita ji, wonderful. You get the debut award hands down, not only for the question, but for the singing as well. Have you taken a formal training in singing?
No, I have not yet taken any kind of training, but I love singing for God, and that's why I
That's beautiful.
like to sing.
We are so glad to have you on the session. Please fill out the feedback tracker. We'll be in touch with you and hope you can make it regularly.
Okay, sure. I will try my level best to be regular.
That was very nice. I mean, I can see a lot of hearts being sent your way. Very nice, beautiful singing.
Shukriya. This is actually this is the grace of God. I don't think, I don't want to take any credit, because God says that in Bhagavad Gita that the capability in human beings is me. So it is the grace of God, and it is for God. Whatever is I'm doing, that is for the grace of God. I
You
have
are
not
at the
done
right place, Sunita ji. You are talking like all the participants do here. Okay, so you are just at the right place. It's all God's grace. Completely agree. God's grace acting through you, but beautiful rendition, and we really loved it. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so
How
much.
did you get to know about these classes, Sunita ji?
Yeah, how did you
Through
get to?
online and through online, and I used to watch the videos of Swamiji, so like that way. And I'm also in Krishna consciousness, so
Very nice.
that's why I
Very nice, very nice. Yeah. Please come. We have a, I mean, although it seems like a big group, but it'll feel like a very small group. And
yes, exactly.
we do it every day, and it's a very nice routine that satsang routine that we have gotten into, and I'm sure you'll love it as well. So, but
Yeah, every day you will do this satsang at 9 a.m. or there is a
same time,
difference in the timing. Same time.
8:30 a.m. India, 8:30 to 9:30, and last 15-20 minutes we spend in devotional chanting like we are doing right now. And we do one verse a day, and it's a 5 to 10 year project. Okay, so you can get it into your routine.
Okay, that's very nice. I can be here then.
Sure. Pleasure to have you.
Please do read all the comments, Sunita ji.
Yes, please do, and please fill out the feedback tracker as well, so that we can remind you if you're not here. Okay, so we'll make sure we keep reminding you. Yeah. All right.
Yes. Manishi, Radhe, please go ahead.
Manishi.
Radhe Radhe. That was wonderful, Sunita ji. I mean, everybody has a divine voice here. I'm glad Paraji's after me, so she has even a divine voice. So, but I love this bhajan of Swamiji, so I'm going to give it a shot. भाव का भूखा हूँ मैं और भाव ही बस सार है, भाव से मुझको भजे तो भव से बेड़ा पार है, भाव बिन सुनी पुकारे मैं कभी सुनता नहीं, भाव की एक तीर भी करती मुझे लाचार है। भाव बिन सब कुछ दे डाले तो मैं कभी लेता नहीं, भाव वाले भक्त का एक पुष्प भी स्वीकार है। बंध लेते भक्त मुझको भाव की जंजीर में, इसलिए इस भूमि पर होता मेरा अवतार है। थैंक यू। राधे राधे।
Thank you. Very nice. And Manishi, if you can send us this, that will be even better. It's a beautiful composition, I know, from Swamiji, but thank you so much for bringing it to the session. And if you can share it, even better. Beautiful
I'll put it in
lyrics.
the chat right now.
Yeah, you can put it in chat or maybe on the group, even better. We'll have it
Yeah,
on
I'll
the
put it in the group too.
Put it on the group. That will be very nice.
Oh, sorry, I already did it in the chat, but I'll put it in the group as well.
Please do on the group as well. That will be nice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manishi. Payal ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Payal ji. We had Pallavi ji also. Pallavi ji, you have to
Yes,
sing.
Pallavi ji was also there. Actually,
Put your hand
Urvi
down.
was.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe everyone. So
Radhe
Nitinji, next 5 minutes I have my class, so I have quickly logged in into this so that I can be a
Yes,
part.
it's our pleasure to have you. Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. ओ कान्हा अब तो मुरली की मधुर सुना दो तान, ओ कान्हा अब तो मुरली की मधुर सुना दो तान। मैं तो तेरी प्रेम दीवानी, मुझको तू पहचान, मधुर सुना दो तान, ओ कान्हा अब तो मुरली की मधुर सुना दो तान। Thank you so much. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, very nice, Payal ji, like always, and all the best for your class. Our best wishes with you. And please keep turning up with your melodious voice as often as you can. Always a pleasure to hear you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Nitinji. I really enjoy being a part of it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The pleasure is
much, Payal ji.
all right. Last but not the least, Pallavi ji, are you ready or?
Go ahead, Pallavi ji.
Right, Urvi, are you ready as well? Not today? Oh, Urvi is ready as well. Okay, Pallavi ji, Urvi. Let's have both of
Radhe
you.
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Everyone. मेरे नंद नंदन मेरे नंद नंदन, अपना बना ले मोही मेरे नंद नंदन, मेरे नंद नंदन मेरे नंद नंदन, अपना बना ले मोही मेरे नंद नंदन, मेरे नंद नंदन मेरे नंद नंदन, तू भी मेरा मैं भी तेरी मेरे नंद नंदन, मेरे नंद नंदन मेरे नंद नंदन, निज से वादे टुक मेरे नंद नंदन, मेरे नंद नंदन मेरे नंद नंदन, अपना बना ले मोही मेरे नंद नंदन, मेरे नंद नंदन मेरे नंदन, तुझ सा कृपालु नहीं मेरे नंद नंदन, मेरे नंद नंदन मेरे नंद नंदन, अपना बना ले मोही मेरे नंद नंदन, अपना बना ले मोही मेरे नंद नंदन, अपना बना ले मोही मेरे नंद नंदन।
Beautiful, Pallavi ji. Like always, you do. It's a very
For the
beautiful
opportunity.
composition. So loved it. Today has been a special day. So many beautiful renditions are coming out, and so many people. See, initially nobody raised a hand, and then there was a flood of hands. Urvi, last but not the least, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Pallavi ji. Urvi, where are you? But I don't. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Radhe Radhe everyone. I'm audible?
Yes,
I
yes.
audible?
You
Okay.
are super audible.
I'll sing Avsar Beetiyo Jaat, just 2 lines. Avsar Beetiyo Jaat, Are मान avsar बीत्यो जात अरे मान काल कवाल वश विधि हरिहार सब तोरी कह बिसात अरे मान आवसार बीत्यो जात अरे मान अरे मान राधे राधे.
Very nice, Urvi. Beautiful. It's one of the difficult bhajans, I know, but very nicely sung. It tells us the time is passing by. We better make the most of it. Beautiful. Great. So we'll continue on our discussion of surrender. We'll introduce the first 2 principles. Like I said, there are 6 principles of surrender, and we will get deeper into it and see how we can take some of those and start implementing in our day-to-day life. What does it translate to with regards to how we perceive situations, how we accept things, how we shape our mindset? All of it is related to surrender. And that is what we'll get deeper into that discussion over the next few discussions. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you again. Have a wonderful day, great rest of your evening, and Radhe Radhe from my side. Radhaviji, over to you.
Thank you, everyone. Radhe Radhe. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody. Good night, good day. See you tomorrow.